Hello and welcome. You've probably found this video because you are thinking about sprint boosters, and you may have typed in CL500 or CL600 and come across this video. So as the title would suggest, I'm just telling you what it's like to live with a sprint booster on a Mercedes CL600. So the version I have is the twin turbo, and so bags of horsepower that's all on tap. But the CL and the S-Class, he's going very fast. The CL and the S-Class their throttle pedals are tuned in a way that, you know, on the highway or what have you, you press the pedal down a little bit and it will sort of waft as it increases speed. The responsiveness is not particularly quick because it wasn't tuned to be, it wasn't designed to be. It was designed to be a wafty, floating, drive to the Alps kind of car. However, if you don't normally drive to the Alps on a daily basis, you might want the pedal to be a bit more responsive. You might want that 500 horsepower or 150 horsepower, depending on, you know, which car you're driving, to just be a little bit more available a little bit more often. And that's where the sprint booster really comes into, you know, it does exactly what it says on the tin. You know, it amplifies the pedal signal. So drive-by-wire car, you push the pedal, there's no actual pedal cable that takes it to the throttle, and so it goes through some wiring using what's called CAN bus normally, up to a module. That module then tells another module to open the throttle, and it all happens very, very quickly. However, if you push your pedal down 10% and the vehicle doesn't respond the way you expect it to with that amount of pedal travel, you can turn up the sensitivity using your sprint booster. And on this particular car, it absolutely transformed it. It transformed the car altogether. You know, I have it running on, there's a green mode and a red mode, and there's off. I have it on the green mode at number 5 out of 1 through 9, so I guess 50%. And that just makes the car respond kind of how I expect it to. You know, I was very aware of how much power this thing had, but when I pushed the pedal down for the first time driving it, I was a bit disappointed. You know, it wasn't sort of all there unless you mashed the pedal or you pushed the pedal a little bit further than you expected to, in order to get it to really wake up. So the way I have it set up now is that where I have my, you know, sort of my go-to position for increasing speed on a highway or on a single carriageway, before, if you turn the thing off, it will increase speed, but it will do it slowly. It won't kick down a gear, it'll just increase the speed. Where I have the sprint booster set means that that same position now kicks down a gear, and that's what I want. That's a personal preference. Nobody's right or wrong in having a sprint booster. Nobody's right or wrong in where they tune their pedal. Ignore the people online that are telling you you're wasting your money. If you want to increase the sensitivity of the throttle, if you want the car to respond a bit more than it does out of the box, you're not wasting your money, because you can't change that unless you're into mapping and, you know, you want to map it that way and do it. You know, that's great, and if you can do that, then don't waste your money on a sprint booster. But if you don't have that kind of ability, you don't have access to those kinds of tools or that kind of knowledge, then this thing any idiot can plug in between the pedal and the wiring loom, and you just set the button. It's like a dial. You turn it up. Where do I want, you know, the power to come in at? So I now push the pedal down where I expect it to, and the car will kick down a gear and it will give me what I want. If I put it in race mode, which is the red one, and again 1 to 9, I have it set to 9, I never use it, then that becomes a whole different kettle of fish. You know, all of a sudden now you get instant response. And I say instant response, not instant power and instant acceleration, because that really is dependent on the vehicle you drive. You know, it depends on how far you push the pedal, obviously, even with a sprint booster. But it means that if I'm in race mode or the red mode, that means if I touch the pedal, it's, you know, gonna aid my spirited driving. I'll hit that button now actually, and then I just give that pedal a little kick, and all of a sudden that never gets old. So I tend to drive with it on green because that's just what I'm used to. Warning, if you put it in race in a car like this, and have it at number 9, in town, it is actually a bit undrivable because you touch the pedal and it lurches. Because that's exactly what it's doing, is it's amplifying the signal so much that it's like you've pushed the pedal all the way down, and so it really sort of lunges and lurches. It's quite uncomfortable to drive. So that's what's kind of handy, having the 3 settings: off, green, red. That's all you need. So I hope that helps you anyway. It's, you know, been it makes the car for me a real joy to drive. I really enjoy, you know, throwing it around country lanes, believe it or not. Big old barge like this. That's where the ABC suspension helps, but that's a whole nother story. But that sprint booster just makes the vehicle behave the way I expect it to, and I can tune that. If I want it to be more responsive, I press a couple of buttons and it's done. It's not difficult to do. And if, you know, someone's going to drive it that doesn't have this, you know, experience with a 500 horsepower car, I can turn the thing off. You know, I could even stick in valet mode, so it slows down the response deliberately. You know, or if I'm giving it to one of my mates to borrow, and you know, he or she is a real car pet nut and is excited to drive it, I'll stick it on race, so that when they get in it and they touch the pedal, they nearly, you know, spin the wheels every time. They'll love that. So, you know, there's a few things you can do with it. But for me, number 5 on the green, it just responds like a Mazda MX-5 pedal would. It's much nicer to drive, I think. You know, so it's not a waste of money, I don't think. But again, that's subjective, completely subjective. It does make the pedal, the whole car responds much more as I'm expecting it to. And that is what a sprint booster is all about. Hope this helped you.